Welcome to Logic Shala. Are you someone who wants to get started with Python? You are someone who wants to learn Python as an academic subject, or maybe you have heard about Python and its application and really want to know how you can actually make amazing applications using Python. Maybe you are an electronics engineer or a computer science engineer, or maybe you just want to do something innovative. Python has it all. I remember when I was in college and I wanted to learn Python, the only purpose to get started with Python was I wanted to work on Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is a mini computer, and for all the electronics engineers, after working on basic microcontrollers, Raspberry Pi is something on which they can do the further things like maybe image processing or maybe build a small web server. So these are all the things you can do on a Raspberry Pi, and to learn that, traditionally we had to learn embedded C. Raspberry Pi was something which actually made it really easy because we had to write a small code, just a small code, and with the operating system in Raspberry Pi, you could actually use Python on it. Now this was my story why I started learning Python. So now I wanted to learn Python and started searching all the online resources. There are amazing people who have put all these resources and it really helps. But still, there was something because of which I struggled, and I want to share that with you. So here are my 5 tips before you start learning Python. Before I tell these 5 tips, I want to say that whenever you start learning Python, do not rely on any generic advices like learn Python in 30 days. To be honest, it is very unfair on any one of us to determine what time is required to learn a language. Consider, for example, 2 people. One who is a computer science engineer, he has worked with other languages and has an experience completing projects on it. He just doesn't know Python, but he knows the programming concepts. And consider the second person who is completely new to the field of software itself. I think these 2 people will require different time to complete. So if you are a person who doesn't have too much of experience, it's a request from my side, do not be harsh on yourself. You would require time to learn anything, but again, whatever time you spend learning concepts and making foundation, it will be worth it. So these are the 5 tips to learn Python the easy way. This has helped me a lot and I hope that it will help you too. If you have not subscribed to Logic Shala, subscribe it for more such videos. So let's start. Tip number 1. Ask yourself why you want to learn Python. I know this is a very obvious question, but I feel many of us ignore this question before we start learning any programming language. I will broadly classify the answers to this question into 2. The first answer can be, which is the most common one, that you want to learn Python as a programming language. Maybe you want to become a developer, a Python developer, or maybe because of academic purpose you want to learn it. And the second answer can be that you want to make an application and you just concluded that Python would be the best choice for you. Let me tell you, in these 2 answers, the approaches you would have to take should be very different. In the second answer, that is, you want to learn Python to just make applications. Maybe you can make use of some frameworks or some quick tips or maybe some ready resources which you can get easily. And on the other hand, if it's the first answer, maybe then you can just go slow because you want to learn Python and actually understand the beauty of this language. Tip number 2, treat it like a game. Whenever you start learning Python, I feel it helps a lot when we treat it like a game and try to explore a lot of things. The main focus here should be exploring it. Maybe you just read about a data type or you read about a libraries, because there are so many libraries which you would have to learn depending on whatever application you are working on when it comes to Python. So whenever you start working with a library, maybe you treat it like a game and explore as much as you can. And I'm sure the learning experience of Python will be amazing. It will be really fun. Tip number 3, and I cannot stress enough on this, explore one thing at a time. I don't know how many of you have come from an experience of C language, just like me. But if you have, I'm sure you would relate that making an array actually required a lot of effort. So whenever you had to make an array, maybe it's an integer array or a character array, you actually had to understand a lot of things. But same when it comes to Python, it's so easy. It's just one line. You can actually make a list, a dictionary, a set, and many such data types using few libraries, which makes your life really, really easy. Now, what generally happens is we actually scan through any resource, online resource, and read about the data types in Python, and we never explore one data type enough, or for that matter, any element of Python, we do not explore slowly. So the tip is that you actually spend time on one of any element or feature of Python. It can be as simple as you are working with list. So just try to explore list as much as you can before you move to the next data type. Maybe it will actually help you find the appreciation for Python language and why it is so famous. Tip number 4, implement your own idea. I know there are a lot of assignments whenever we read any online resources, we follow those assignments. But what I feel is after completing these assignments, if we try to implement any one idea of our own, let's keep it basic. I am not saying we have to implement a big idea. It can be as small as maybe making a simple management system, or maybe making a simple billing system, or any idea of yours which involves a bit of logic. And let me tell you how this actually helps. When it is your idea, you have nobody to tell you how you would be implementing it. So same logic you may implement using all different data types of Python, and it actually helps you explore the language in a much better way. And at the same time, seeing your own idea come alive in whatever form it is, it's an amazing experience, and it actually motivates us to learn Python or any language much more. And the last step, plan and code. Whenever we write a Python code, it can be for a college assignment or a freelance project, we are actually saving a lot of time compared to any other language. Python actually reduces the code to a very few lines, and this actually helps us fetch time to organize the way we are coding. Many times when we learn a language, we feel that we will just learn the features of the language and we just start coding on it. But sometimes whenever you are writing a code, if you just take out a small amount of time from that and try to write it on paper, whatever you are trying to code, and just organize it before touching the laptop and start coding it, I think it will be really, really helpful, because whenever we plan something, we are actually thinking about how much time we require and how many skills we really need to upgrade. So these were the 5 tips which I wanted to share with you. I hope these were helpful, and do let me know in the comments. Also, if you have some tips which you felt were useful when you learned any programming language, please let us know in the comments. We would love to share those tips in the next video. We are happy to announce that we are starting a new series, Python the Easy Way. Every Saturday, we will be posting one short video about one feature of Python language. We'll try to explore this language as much as possible, and I hope you would enjoy this series. Press the bell notification so that you are notified every Saturday whenever we post a video. Thank you.